I want to thank Principal Elsa Mendoza for a quick approval of using this space just 5 days ago, and to the rest of the staff, Karen and everyone at the LA Unified School District's leasing office. Also, a special thanks to Terrence Gomes and the Los Angeles Neighborhood City Coalition for their help in promoting tonight's events. And I know we're looking around going, why are these seats not filled? And the truth is, we just were able to get the word out on this just a few days ago, and I'm very, very impressed that a lot of you have joined us tonight. And speaking of joining us tonight, immediately following tonight's debate, directly across the street at the corner of Cypress and Division is a great little establishment called Los Candiles. George, the owner, has agreed to open up tonight. He's only open on Fridays and Saturdays, but he's going to open up tonight for a couple hours. If you want to join us for a hello, just come on by. Let's go over some of the rules of the debate. Each candidate will have 1 minute for an opening statement. That candidate will have 1 minute to answer a question, 1 minute for a rebuttal if needed, 1 minute for a closing statement. And I do want to point out that each candidate has an open microphone. Please be respectful of the other candidates. Our audio department does have a mute button on that microphone, so please be respectful of the time. And now, without further ado, from KTTV Fox News 11, an award-winning broadcast journalist, tonight's moderator, Susan Hirasuna.
All right, thank you all for coming, because Sean is correct. There was some last-minute wheeling and dealing in order to get everybody here, right? Let me just open up my computer. There's a couple other things that I want to tell you, and it has to do with equal time. The fact of the matter is a lot of these candidates share some viewpoints. Share them, meaning we don't really need to hear time and again how they feel about Measure Us or whatever. We'll get down to details about Measure Us, but my point is if they share too many of the same points of view, we're going to move on. I might not have every single candidate answer the same question. It might just well be one of these situations where I want a conversation and I want you to be able to listen to these candidates and see really where they're coming from beyond just stock answers to stock issues like, for example, homelessness. All right, so can we all just bring the candidates out and take your places? No need for you to stay behind the curtain there. Come on out and give them a round of applause, because we're very happy to have them here. Find your space. Oh, because Yuval's not coming. Well, very good. So, candidates, welcome. Thank you for being here. Microphones at the ready. And as was already pointed out, every single one of those mics is live. But I feel as if the audio might be a little on the low side, or can you all hear? Is everything okay? Yeah? I got one thumbs up, so I guess it's all good. So we're going to go ahead and start on stage left there, all the way at the end. Eric, if you could just start us off, tell us who you are. You've got a minute to give us sort of your opening statement, please.
Sure. Thank you very much. My name is Eric Previn. I want to thank the host of this debate. This is so nice of Sean and the studios and Lank. It's incredible that they have taken the time and energy to bring this together. My name is Eric Previn, and I'm from Studio City, California, and I'm running for mayor as the other Eric. I have been a long-time writer and producer in the television business. I've focused on building productions around the world, doing all sorts of format work, so I have a lot of experience with big budgets, both here and abroad. And when I started to focus on the government here in the city of Los Angeles and county of Los Angeles, I was quite surprised by what I found. And I've really become a watchdog. I spend a lot of my time looking at the business that comes before the city of LA and the county of LA. And quite frankly, I hold our leaders accountable, even as we speak. I took a case recently all the way to the California Supreme Court on behalf of Angelenos and Californians, and we won. Right on point to bring clarity to the way we deal with our liability here in the city and the infrastructure. And I feel that Angelenos have a right to know, and we have a lot to do. So thank you very much. Eric Previn, the other Eric.
Okay, go ahead.
My name is Dennis Richter. I'm the Socialist Workers Party candidate for mayor. I just want to say what I think is a central issue for all of us in Los Angeles, and really goes beyond Los Angeles, is what we face today. That is to get actively involved in the fight for all immigrant workers, for amnesty for all. That is to take everybody out of the shadow. Everybody who is in this country, who is working, who lives here, ought to have the same rights, so we can organize together to fight for all those things that working people need. Jobs, low-cost housing, a crying need in Los Angeles, wages that we can live on, a future for young people in this country. No deportations, that's the other side of it. We should organize ourselves heading towards May Day, which I believe will rival 2006, when close to 1 million people came out in LA. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Go ahead, Diane.
Hi, my name is Diane Pinky Harmon, Pink, and I'm running for mayor of Los Angeles on March 7th, 2017. Our infrastructure is terrible. Why? We have pipes that are over 90 years old. We have potholes you could bury a car in. Businesses are going to want to go elsewhere if they haven't already. I want to make one point really clear about me. I do not want Los Angeles to be a sanctuary city. No sanctuary city if you vote for me in Los Angeles. I am going to obey the law. The federal law says no sanctuary cities. I'm going to follow the law because I've always followed the law, and that's what I'm going to do. I want to tell everybody how I'm going to pay for things. There's a lot of waste and pay for play down there at City Hall. Pinky, the first day I'm going to see who's on the take and fire them. I'm Diane Pinky Harmon. Vote for me for mayor.
Thank you, Diane.
Start, yeah. Hi, my name is Mitchell Schwartz. I'm 56 years old. I worked at the State Department under Bill Clinton, the first term as communications director. I was a consultant to the Department of Water and Power for 4 years. I helped build a 120 megawatt wind facility that came online in the Tehachapi Mountains in 2009 and ran Barack Obama's campaign in California in 2007 and 8. I don't feel like I'm an outsider, but I'm certainly not an insider. The issues that I think are most important are we need more police because there's been a 40% increase in crime in the last 2 years alone. I want to overhaul the DWP and make it accountable and 100% green by 2025. I have a 14-page plan to add more affordable housing because we have become, under Eric Garcetti, the least affordable place to live in the United States among the large cities. And I want to secure our economic future. Somehow, after 4 years and a 25% increase in our budget, we had a deficit this year. We need pension reform because when the mayor took office, 1% of our budget went to pensions. Now it's 20%. And the mayor who's not here
Thank you
is
very much,
using this
Mitchell.
as a stepping
Thank you,
stone.
Mitchell. Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you. My name is David Hernandez, and I'm a candidate for mayor of Los Angeles. I want to thank the students for being here. You know, this appears to be a great school. My aunt, Esperanza Marquez, a school is named after her in Huntington Park because she was successful in having the debris from the 10 freeway removed from the community, which started the environmental justice movement throughout this country. And so when we work together, we end up with facilities like this and opportunities like you. A lot of talk has been made about the DWP, but what I want to also point out is the human aspect of the DWP. I want to thank the Garcia family that is here, where he has worked over 30 years for the Department of Water and Power. You know, when we just had these rainstorms and we saw the trees that were down and the lines that were down, when we start talking about reform, we have to make sure that the human element is not omitted. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Franz Pierre, and I'm running for mayor for the city of Los Angeles. I'm running because I believe the city needs new leadership and direction. It is in that spirit that I released 30 plans, 30 solutions to the issues that we are facing. My core platform, universal basic income and worker cooperatives. I noticed my colleagues here mentioned DWP. I also released a plan regarding DWP. I believe DWP should be a worker on business, whereas the employee and some of the consumers will own it. That's a system that has been working very well in Europe. So as a mayor, I will be pushing for that. Universal basic income, it is not anything new. Dr. Martin Luther King supported it. Our founding father, Thomas Paine, supported it. Bernie Sanders supported it. So it is a system that I intend to implement in the city of Los Angeles. Vote for me and also look at my website. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to the sponsors, my fellow candidates. Susan, thank you so much, and Sotomayor High School. My name is Paulie Amori, and I'm running for mayor of Los Angeles. Thank you, because I believe it's time for a new paradigm in politics that are heart-centric, heart-first politics. The central idea behind my Vote for Love campaign is to use love as a core value to determine the solutions to the issues that we face as a city. And let's face it, there are a lot of issues out there. Our terrible homeless epidemic, which is up 20% in the last 4 years. Crime, up nearly 40%, 50% to some. We have terrible traffic issues, infrastructure, to name a few. In order to solve these issues, we are going to need policies and politicians that are really out there for the people. We also need to re-engage you, the people, in our local politics. We're going to be lucky if we see 15% show up to vote on Tuesday. It's time to inspire people, to re-engage them, to bring Angelenos together to be the change they want to see in their city. Thank you. I love you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Y.J. Draymond. I'm running for the second time as mayor of Los Angeles, and I would like your vote. One of the things that we have a problem in this city is unity. I think we all got to put all our differences aside and unite as one force, one cohesive force to improve our city, to improve the infrastructure, to improve the financial being of the city, and make sure that our political representatives do their job properly. If not, get out of the way. We have people that need to be served and served properly and honestly. Thank you.
David Salzberg, otherwise known as Zuma Dog. And my most unique qualification for mayor and why I'm running is because I've studied quality and productivity under Dr. W. Edwards Deming, the 14 points of quality and productivity. As a city, we can continue to demand through exhortations to improve efficiency, reduce waste, fill the potholes, lower the response times. The city will never accomplish these goals until they put quality first, and that's what I'm here to do. And it's a serious issue, and I know it's a boring one, but how are you going to accomplish anything if you don't have the plan? You can go to my website, LA Mayor 2017, to read that. Now let's talk about Eric Garcetti. Crime has skyrocketed. Tent encampments have skyrocketed. The budget deficit skyrocketed. Traffic has skyrocketed. Everything bad has skyrocketed under Eric Garcetti. Where is he? He's fundraising because he's running for higher office. If this were an airplane, he left the cockpits.
Actually, we will discuss Eric Garcetti a little later on. Moving on to our last candidate that is in attendance today.
Hi, my name is Yuval Kremer. I am a math educator and I've been an activist for the last 10 years. I have a law degree from Loyola Law School. I started by fighting overdevelopment, so of course I support Measure S and urge you to vote yes on Measure S. What else can I say about? I'm running on a vision of 2 cities, to break this city into 2 cities, 2 equal cities, so the Valley portion would get cityhood, and the rest would be another city, each with an elected mayor, each with its own city council, each with its own police department. If you look around, the smaller cities that surround us are better run financially. They have a much better level of services. So if you want to find out more about me, you can look for Yuval for Mayor on Facebook, also at 2 Cities Team on Twitter. And let's see, I want to expand rent control to newer buildings. So right now it only applies to buildings that are prior to October 78.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. right, I do want to point out that there is an empty chair here for the current mayor, Eric Garcetti. He was invited to attend this debate, and the last I heard, there was no response. So there was no yay or nay. So that means, at this time, I would actually like to open it up to the candidates for you to give the mayor his report card. How has he done? Why are you running? You must be running in part because you think that the incumbent is not doing his job well. We might as well start with you, Yuval, because you were the last to speak, and then we'll go from there. You each get a minute, and because the candidate, Garcetti, is not here, sorry, he does not get time to rebut.
So I am not happy with Eric Garcetti. I could have chosen to run against Paul Koretz. I live in Council District 5. But Eric Garcetti has a lot more power than Paul Koretz does. The city is run bad financially, has low level of services. The special interests are being taken care of.
But I want you to tell me specifically what it is that you think he has not done. We are all probably pretty familiar with the problems of the city, but perhaps you can address what has not been done and why he has been so insufficient.
Specifically, do you want to talk about,
Take one issue. You can just
Yeah,
take one issue.
I'll pick public transit, for example. So I ride the bus. Traffic is horrible. That's why I was late tonight. Bus service has been cut by half from its peak. So it's very inconvenient for people. I don't know if you know this, the mayor is in charge of the MTA board. He gets to pick a bunch of people on the MTA board. So if he wanted to take the leadership role, he could address that. Fares are too high as well. So I would double or triple bus service, and I would dramatically lower fares. Thank you.
Yes, go ahead, Zuma.
Thank you, David Salzberg, Zuma Dog. And, I would just be a joke. We all would be if Eric was doing a great job. He could have been promising, Mr. Smart Guy, Rhodes Scholar. But he's absentee do-nothing mayor because he's running for higher office from the very beginning. I don't know how to emphasize this enough. The insiders tell me he's not doing anything. What hasn't he done? He hasn't built any homeless housing. Look at the streets. Tent encampments where we've never seen them. You can't walk down the sidewalks. I'll tell you what he has done, luxury housing. Okay? If Eric Garcetti gets reelected without fear of having to be reelected, I think it's going to be a very scary place where it's going to be bulldozed of all the low-income and affordable housing, sell it out to China, do the skyscrapers. So he's not addressing anything. Okay, and especially the homelessness, that's what he's not doing. And he's not doing anything. He's got a record amount of fundraising money, and that's because that's all he's done the first term.
Thank you.
I'm YJ Draymond, and I ran against Eric Garcetti in 2013. I met him. We spoke about various issues of the city. He promised me that some of the issues would be resolved. None have been resolved. The city's budget is in the red. The streets are deteriorating. I recommended him to build ponds along the LA River and retain some of the rainwater in order to eliminate some of our water problems. That hasn't been done. Many of my recommendations, he said he's going to have a day in City Hall where he can listen to people's complaints and address them. He didn't do that. He did it one time, a day after he got elected, that was it. When I called his office a few times with various problems, there was no answer. A mayor is supposed to serve the people. When the people come in and complain or call, a response should be given to them. If you are not responsive to the people, you do not belong as the mayor of the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
I probably won't surprise you that I don't believe in smear tactics. I believe in spread tactics, in spreading the love. I will say nothing negative about Garcetti. Simply, I will talk about what's happening in the city and what's happened over the last 4 years. Whether or not this is Garcetti's fault, I can't speak to that.
Paul,
Clearly,
if I can just interject, I appreciate that, Why don't you tell us what you would do differently than the current administration?
Certainly. Well, for me, number one is homelessness. We've heard this across the board. I don't believe you can walk out onto the streets just about anywhere in Los Angeles and not be affected by the people that are living on the streets. How have we as a society gotten to a place in which we allow this to happen? That we allow our neighbors, what could be our family and friends, to live like animals on the street? Number one for me would be to get into City Hall and look at how the money that was raised in Proposition HHH, 1.2 billion, or is being raised by this bond, $1.2 billion is being spent. Why does it cost $400,000 for a unit of housing? That needs to be ratified. We could get everyone off the street with that money.
Thank you.
As you know, Eric Garcetti is long on rhetorics and buzzwords and short on plans and vision. Let's look at the homeless situation. Okay, the homeless situation, there are solutions out there. I'm proposing the Housing First model. It is a model that has proven to work. There are no reasons at all we cannot implement it in the city of Los Angeles. It has been implemented in a city of Canada called Medicine Hat. Currently, that city homeless population is 0. We can implement it here. Let's look at our police department. For 2 years in a row, we kill more people than any police department in the United States. So that is a failure of leadership. That's why we need to vote Eric Garcetti out. That's why I'm proposing, as a mayor, I will reinvestigate all federal police shootings. It must be reinvestigated. Let's look at our immigration situation. Eric Garcetti is pretending to support the undocumented immigrant. It is not.
Thank
all right,
you so
thank you
much.
very much.
We've been listening to and watching a lot of very expensive commercials on television. The good part is it's letting people know there's an election next Tuesday. However, in looking at those commercials, the word that comes to mind is delusional. Has he taken a ride from San Pedro, through Pacoima, or Sylmar? We all know what downtown looks like, but how about every single community? And as I listen to people throughout the community, what also come to mind is when someone said, the emperor has no clothes. His vision, what he is portraying in those commercials, bears absolutely no resemblance to the condition of this city. As far as a report card, I created a report card for the mayor, and it's on the table over there.
Thank you so much.
So people up here already mentioned the lack of affordable housing, that we went from an affordable city to the least affordable city in the country. Went from a city that had homeless to now one that has record numbers of homeless. City that had bad traffic is worse, as Yuval pointed out. Last year, ridership somehow went down on Metro, because Yuval's right, they cut the bus service. Here's 3 other things that the mayor could do, did nothing about. Pension reform. When he took office in 2001, 1% of our budget went to pensions, now 20%. DWP, last year, again, was ranked 15th out of the 15th utilities in the western part of the United States surveys. He didn't overhaul it. I have a plan to overhaul it and make it 100% green. Lastly, police. Crime has gone up 40%, violent crime, in the last 2 years alone. By the way, in New York last year, violent crime went down. This mayor, unlike any other mayor in history in the last 40 or 50 years, did not do the end-of-the-year press conference where they talked about crime, what worked, what didn't, what the plans are. He's hiding, just like he's hiding from the debate.
I have 3 words for Eric Garcetti. After the election, we want the crime report out. You know what he's telling his cohort, Charlie Beck? Don't publish it. Say we don't have time. What does he think we are, a 2-year-old? The crime rate, ladies and gentlemen, is going up. Los Angeles Times has given Eric Garcetti a C in education. They're going to give Diane Pinky Harmon an A. I'm a retired teacher, LA Unified, 32 years. I have a master's in psychology from Pepperdine University. I taught at the
But
community
Pinky, what would you do differently than the mayor?
What I would do differently is I would go into the school system. We have a lot of problems there. He refuses to go in because it's not politically correct. I would go into the school system, make consequences for behavior. Our discipline in the schools have gone down. They don't give teachers discipline. That's what I would do.
Thank you.
First, Mayor Garcetti says there's been a renaissance in the city of Los Angeles since he's been mayor, and I agree he's done a very good job for the propertied interests, for those capitalists who profit from what he has accomplished, and I believe that's the role he plays. It's a class-divided city. Where I go from San Pedro to the Valley is to working-class neighborhoods. It's a different reality. There's not some renaissance. There's more like carnage in people's lives, from both economics, drug addiction, all crime, all those things where people prey on each other, lack of jobs. That's the reality in the other part of Los Angeles.
And what would you do?
Well, I would start with one thing, very important, around the police. The LAPD in 2012 to 2014 had 1,356 allegations of biased policing. The LAPD upheld 0 of them. I would change that immediately.
Very good. Finally, Eric.
Thank you. The other Eric. Mayor Garcetti and I are we are very, very different when it comes to the way we would deal with the city's liability across all sorts of departments. Just last week, he made a decision at the Metro Board to put on all overtime LAPD into the Metro, leaving out that there are no private security guards in part of that mix to go onto the individual buses. And we all heard in that very Metro meeting a bus driver talk about being attacked while driving the bus. So instead, we're paying cops double time to be exhausted, and exhausted cops do not perform better. And this happens all the time. What I would do is rip up the idea that we're going to have all these closed session meetings with lawyers behind doors, because the public, as I wrote in the Daily News, deserves to understand when an agency is under siege for one reason or another, whether it's infrastructure or the way our police are policing. We want to fix these problems, not have them metastasize, go into the back room, and come out with a huge liability tag, and we are facing $245 million now in deficit because of that wanton, reckless behavior. So I would definitely fix that first up. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we will get to some of the issues of the city, but I want to go to each candidate. I am somewhat familiar with your candidate statements, either from your websites or from your opening statement. And I just want to ask you a couple questions, or a question, about each candidate. So let me start with you, Dennis. So among the things that you are in favor of, that would be to oppose Washington's imperialistic military attacks against countries such as Syria, etc. How do you propose to do that, and would it be something beyond just a symbolic message?
Well, the $6 trillion in the series of wars that have been fought in the Middle East, we all know of, from Afghanistan, Iraq, to now Syria. We know Libya. We know that I know that these are not in the interests of working people in this country. What I propose is not simply a change in policy in the world, but a fundamental change in government, that workers and farmers control the resources, the government, and the foreign policy, so that we begin to look at other people in the world who are like us as our allies, not our potential enemies.
I'm still not clear how you, as the mayor of the city of Los Angeles, would be addressing an international situation.
Right. It's a challenge for sure, because the mayor doesn't have the possibilities of changing foreign policy. But we know Mayor Garcetti, he sits on the Mayor's Council for Environmental Change of all the mayors. I would use the office in order to fight along a course that's in the interest of all working people in Los Angeles.
Okay, very good. All right, let me ask you, David Hernandez, to expand a little bit more on what you want the DWP or how you want the DWP to change. You mentioned the human element. What does that mean?
Well, everyone's exposure to the DWP usually comes, every 2 months when we look at that bill. The reality is that there are thousands of dedicated employees in the city of Los Angeles. And if we're going to enter into renegotiating contracts, if we're going to address things like defined benefits, if we're going to address reform as far as pensions and retirements, that there are individuals like Mr. Garcia who have invested 3 decades of not only his life, his family life in serving the residents of the city of Los Angeles. So it can't just be about numbers and whether it's the police
What would that
department.
look like then? If it's not about the numbers, and I'm not saying I disagree with you,
Right.
what does that look like?
What we do is when we negotiate the numbers, that we make sure that we have more than just the bargaining partners who are currently involved, basically organized labor, but that we also bring in individuals who represent fellow workers to provide that human part of the story.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, Paul, you pointed out that only 15% of the electorate, of the populace, will actually vote. You want to bring unity, you want to bring love to the city. No one can object to that. How are you going to do it?
Certainly, great question. Am I plugged in? First of all, why aren't people coming out to vote? I've been out on the streets talking with people. I've done a video series called Politics, where we get out on the street and we talk to people and we ask them, do you know who's running? Do you know who your current mayor is? Do you know when the election is? And it's been startling to see that people have no idea. 90% of LA seems not to know that there's an election happening next week. I believe that's because they have leaders that they don't feel represent them or hear them. I want to make a very loud statement, and I feel like I do that by saying, look, as your mayor, I am here for you. I want your ideas, and I want us to be in this together, finding solutions to the problems together. If elected, I would create a committee in which I would encourage Angelenos to come forward with their ideas, not only about how their solutions, but the ideas, the issues that they're concerned with. And if those ideas are worthwhile, we will escalate them and make them into policy.
Very good, thank you. All right, Franz, why don't you explain what universal basic income is for those who do not know, and how is that different from raising the minimum wage in the city?
Sure. Universal basic income. It is basically giving a fixed amount of money to each Angelenos every month for the rest of your life. It is not anything new. First, we encountered basic income was back in 1500, where Thomas More, an Irishman, very popular, he wrote a book called Utopia. He talked about basic income. Then we encountered basic income with our founding father, Thomas Paine, and Dr. Martin Luther King as well talk about basic income. In fact, Dr. King said, I am now convinced that the simplest approach will prove to be the most effective. The solution to poverty is to abolish it directly. He was talking about basic income. He believes that basic income will abolish slavery, poverty. And I'll go further. It will also abolish poverty. So,
I'm going to give you another 30 seconds to explain, though, how that would be funded, because that is the bugaboo in this, isn't it?
Yeah, thank you. Yes. So basically, the idea is to eliminate all welfare services, food stamp and things like that. And instead of paying for buildings, utilities, let's just give the money directly to the people. That's one way we intend to fund it. And there are the places we will save money as well. And for instance, based on pilots that has been done in Canada and other places in the world, we found out that less people went to jail, less people went to the hospital. So we will save money in that area. Currently, Canada is having a pilot program this year.
Thank you very much. All right, Eric, so You say in your candidate statement in the voter's guide that you believe in health and safety, good paying jobs, and an educational system of the highest caliber. I'm sure no one would object to any of those, but how are you going to do it? Just take one issue in particular and tell me how you will bring quality jobs to this city.
Sure. Well, you mentioned health and safety, which is something that I'm very focused on, and I
Okay.
would absolutely not send LAPD out into the streets armed with tasers. We ordered 4,400 tasers on the back in the truck, marked body cameras from basically a client of Englander, Knabe and Allen. So that kind of corruption that results in bad decisions does not make Angelenos more safe. In fact, it makes us more vulnerable and we're exposed to liability. And now, into the metro, as I mentioned earlier, we have a force of all overtime, which means they're exhausted cops, with tasers. This is not what we need. So this is an absolutely backwards way to get towards health and safety. What were the other two? There was it was like a...
Good paying
Yeah.
jobs.
Oh, good paying jobs. Well, this is one thing we can do that will automatically result in, people don't say this often, but flourishing in our economy is to pass Measure S. You say, what? I thought Measure S is the anti-corruption. It is the anti-corruption measure. And when we clean up the feeling that the only way to get anything done in Los Angeles is to stick money in some guy's pocket or make a campaign contribution or hire a lobbyist for a fortune, that turns off ordinary Angelenos who want to be entrepreneurial. So
Yeah, and we will get to Measure S, to be sure.
very
It's
good.
a hot topic.
Well, thank you.
Mitchell, you are opposed to the mayor's fund. Would you like to explain what that is and why the opposition?
Sure. The Mayor's Fund. By the way, how many people out here know what the Mayor's Fund is? Does anybody? Yeah. I wish more people knew about it. So it's the fund that's run out of City Hall, run by the mayor's top aide. It's called the Mayor's Fund. And it's frankly a way for businesses and other entities to get around the campaign spending limits. So you have companies like Walmart, Bank of America, a slew of others who give money to this fund that ostensibly goes towards charities. Now, they do some good work, I'm sure, and there are some good people that are on it, but I gotta believe there's plenty of charities out there that are not run by the mayor that people could give to. So I think this is just a way to curry favor, and I say shut that thing down.
Okay, very good. So we're learning a little bit about all kinds of things. Moving on from universal basic income, we're going to go to Deming's 14 points for management. That's your issue, Zumadog.
Yes.
Please explain what that is and how that will benefit the city.
Thank you very much. Well, in the 50s, you heard about the Japanese factory workers that were starting to build quality products, the autos and electronics at low cost that didn't break down, pride and joy in the workmanship on the factory floor. That's Dr. Deming and his 14 points of quality and productivity, breaking down barriers between departments. Mainly for the city, how this would relate also is very bad morale throughout the city. Nothing gets done. City workers are in a funk, and that's because City Hall's very vindictive or retaliatory. So a mayor's a managerial job, and it's up to the mayor to be the leader to institute these 14 points. My job as a mayor, you go around to the city department and workers, you say, how can I help you do your better job? We need to fill the potholes, trim the trees, help the homeless, reduce the bureaucracy, shorter times on response. How do you do it? It's with the 14 points, getting the departments to work together. That way, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for staying on time. Yuval, explain what the two-city solution is here. You propose that we break up the city of Los Angeles.
Yeah, so
And would you be the mayor of North or South?
I wouldn't, if I was able to succeed in making that happen, I wouldn't run for either mayorship.
Explain how it would benefit the city of Los Angeles, or in this case, two cities.
So we're surrounded by small cities, and we are a massive city. We're maybe 15 or 20 times as big as these small cities. So we have West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, Glendale, Burbank, Santa Monica. These are all small cities. We have 15 council districts. Each councilman is like council member. Each council member is like a mini mayor. They have 3 offices, 15 to 20 people working for them. Each council district is like a city. So you could argue that we could break up into 15 cities, but I would say let's start with 2. The Valley did try to secede roughly 15 years ago. The mayor at the time was against it. I always thought it was a good idea, even though I don't live in the valley. I think we'd all be better off. The status quo is bad for everybody right now. And what I call it is,
Yes.
yeah?
Yes, you need to sit down. Thank you so much. All right, so Pinky, you are against Los Angeles as a sanctuary city. What do you propose to do to accommodate the fact that we have so many undocumented and that there is quite a bit of concern about their well-being and the well-being of their family?
Okay, in terms, wait, what? Oh, don't
We hear
I
you.
don't do
Go
my
ahead.
time yet. Wait, hello? Can you hear me?
Just speak right into the mic.
Oh, okay. In terms of sanctuary cities, Los Angeles, as I mentioned before, will no longer be a sanctuary city. I'm going to follow the law, and we're going to get the $500 million. Now, I was an ESL teacher for 30 years plus. I had Hispanic children, I had Korean children. It isn't that. If we don't follow the law, then who are we? We're going to have chaos out there. And I grew up, Diane, my parents used to say, you have to follow the law. If you go through a red light, you get a ticket. We need to do that.
Will you help these people, though, who have families here and jobs here, but they might not be documented?
No. I understand about the people. What I'm really concerned about is the illegal alien who, what's that term again? Catch and release.
Catch and release. Which,
Well,
which Donald Trump says he does not approve of that.
That's right. I do not approve of it either. We have,
Yes, I'm sorry. It is a big,
All right.
complicated issue. I appreciate the fact that you tried for 1 minute to explain your position. All right, finally, I believe I skipped you, YJ, right? Okay, so water and energy, two of the things that you're interested in. Currently, we finally solved the drought problem. However, catching that water and keeping the water is not something that we know how to do as yet. Reservoirs are going to fill up. So what is your proposition for the future when we could be back in a drought?
Well, there's a few issues that has to be addressed. One of them is, as I mentioned earlier, is building ponds along the LA River. And there is federal funding for it, which we could turn into parks. Put some of them with liners, some of them without liners. The without liners will replenish the aquifers. The with liners, we could use the water for watering purposes. I think we should mandate the building department that anybody that does any kind of remodeling or any kind of building is mandated to have a rainwater reclamation storage tank that we could use for, you could use it for toilets, you could use it for irrigation. 50% of the water in homes are used, or better, are used outside of the house. So we need to address it. We need to do gray water harvesting, we need to do a desalinization plan. I was kind of shocked that a city like Los Angeles that has water problems for forever, we don't have a desalinization plan. I mean, this is outrageous.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. All right, I got everybody right on your candidate statements. I believe I did. All right, Measure S seems to be a very big issue. Can I just have a show of hands? Who is in favor of Measure S? Okay. So why don't we go? We'll start with you at the very end, Eric. Why don't you give me your best argument in favor of Measure S and why you think it's best for the future of the city of Los Angeles?
Okay. Measure S, which is a proposition that's hard to read, quite frankly, so I don't give the high scores on the actual proposition itself, but the intent is important, and it's to revise the plans quickly. And it calls for a 2-year moratorium that freaks people out, but you don't need to be freaked out because the city properties that the city councilmen argue that have been earmarked for permanent supportive and affordable housing won't even qualify under Measure S. This is a silly little city knot that would be disentangled in one split second. Number two, we should be having public hearings about how to change the plan. This is an important detail, not private hearings, which we're having regularly with developers and council members that the public then finds out about, like today, with an amendment stuck up on the bulletin board in City Council and goes, wait, what's happening? And then you can sue them if you want. This is not an effective way to run a city, and Measure S will ensure that we can have input to our community plans and move the city forward at a reasonable pace, not when Mr. Weezer gets around to it 8 years
Okay.
later.
Which candidate is against and wants to argue his point? Paul?
This has been a challenging one for me. I was originally a yes on S, and I've had to reverse my decision. And the reason for it is that I am a pro-building for low-income housing and pro-building for the homeless. When you look at who is against this measure, almost all the homeless advocacy groups, as well as all of the lower income housing advocacy groups, are against this measure. I am full support of the intention of this. I absolutely believe we need to revise the general plan. I absolutely think that we have to do something about this corruption, but the 2-year moratorium on building when we have a massive housing crisis, I think I cannot, with good conscience, vote yes on S.
All right. Another candidate that wants to argue with Paul on his point. Go ahead, David. And maybe from here on in, we just sit, because we're taking a lot of time to stand up. It's okay. You can just sit.
And what Measure S is really about is about zoning. You know, and we have to ask yourself, is zoning good or zoning bad? If you're living somewhere and someone decides to put in a chemical plant next door, zoning prevents it. Los Angeles has zoning laws. They're outdated. What is happening, though, is individuals are able to pay large contributions to have those zoning laws ignored by using spot zoning.
So, David, you are against Measure S.
No, I am for.
Okay.
I'm for Measure S.
I beg your pardon.
And the reason for that is because it doesn't take in consideration parking, traffic, water use. Measure S does not stop building. If you build within the current code, you can build all you want. So that is what those that are opposed to Measure S are misleading the public on. Follow the current zoning laws, build away.
Thank you so much.
May I?
Mitch, go ahead. Yes.
And
Sit.
I'll stay seated. I know I was about to get up.
Please.
So I have not endorsed nor opposed Measure S, and here's why. I'm very sympathetic to the sentiments of the people behind, the people who support Measure S for a lot of the reasons we hear here, that it's going to end the corruption and the pay-to-play politics, which has to end, and it'll update the community plans. And that's what I've included in my plan, that we would get rid of spot zoning and update the community plans. But here's the thing. Even if Measure S passes, it doesn't deal with what, in my mind, is even worse than the bad development, which is a lack of affordable housing. So that's why I have a plan that includes, to me, the two most important things of Measure S, which is end spot zoning, update the community plans, but also we have to have more units of housing. Otherwise, this place will get even more unaffordable to people.
Okay, very good. Zumadog, you had your hand up.
Yes. Hello, mic check 1, 2. You hear it? Oh.
Yes.
First thing I read with Measure S allows for affordable housing to still be built. Secondly, as mayor, you got to make a decision. You know, Mitchell, I love you, baby. I don't like the fact that you're telling people, gee, I don't know, yes or no. Why don't you just vote and then find out afterwards? You know, everybody would like to do that on everything. Okay, so I'm yes on it because they say, well, gee, you know, we have to do something about taking the corruption out of the money politics. Well, that isn't going to happen, okay? It hasn't happened ever. They're going to get reelected. It's not going to happen. Well, you know, I agree. You know, it's going to force us to update the community plans. Says it takes 7 to 10 years. Okay, there's not going to be a space of anything left in 7 to 10 years. Garcetti is selling this place out to China. The skyscrapers are going up before you know it. Yes on S. Don't be fooled by scary City Hall. Put it this way, Garcetti's no on S. Weezar's no on S. All these corrupt politicians that belong in prison, they're all no on S because they want the money to keep coming for the skyscrapers to keep going up. That's the only thing they care about. You won't get any affordable housing.
Thank you very much. Ron.
Yes, there is another important aspect on Measure S. It is the EIR, the Environmental Impact Report. Currently, the developers, they are the greedy developers, they are the one producing the EIR. When Eric Garcetti was running in 2013, he promised to put an end to it. He did not. He lied. If we give Eric Garcetti another 5.5 if we give him 5.5 years, he will not do anything about the EIR. Measure S will put an end to EIR. We don't want the developers to produce their own report. That's a conflict of interest. I do not trust most developers, to be honest to you. So that is very important. So
you are
yes,
against environmental impact reports. Is that what you're saying?
I
For
am-
each development?
I am against the developers doing it themselves.
Okay.
It should be independent
Very
to do it. So vote yes on S.
Okay. And Pinky, you had your hand up.
Yes, I'm voting yes on S. I am sick of the corruption in City Hall, which I said the first day, get rid of all those pay-for-play people. You know why they want S, because Garcetti, well, let's just say, he's going to build, like people said, the skyscrapers, this, that. Who do you think's going to get the pay-for-play for that? Absolutely, Eric Garcetti. We have to stop corruption, and that's why I'm running. I'm going to get rid of everybody that's pay-for-play down in City Hall, people who don't care about Los Angeles. I care about Los Angeles, and I want to be your voice for a change. I'm Diane Pinky Harmon. I'm running
Thank
for
you,
mayor.
Diane. Thank you. And this is why Mr. Garcetti should probably be here. Go ahead.
Yeah, Measure S, some people think it may not be perfect. It's really our last chance. We won't get anything else. I mean, this is the last standalone city election. From now on, they're going to be combined. The AIDS Healthcare Foundation has come in and is taking on all of the politicians and all of the developers. We're never going to get a chance like this again. This is our last chance. If we lose, the developers have won forever in the city of LA. And what they want to do, if you let the developers do what they want to do, they will go into every neighborhood, they will tear down all of the older buildings with the rent-controlled units, and they will build skyscrapers in all the neighborhoods. That's what they would do if they could do it. So we cannot let them decide the way the city of LA is going to be. That's what community plans are for. So right now we have old community plans, and they give money to the politicians, and the politicians let them do much more. So in my neighborhood, a developer wanted to build 5 times the allowed height, and the councilman ended up letting him build 4 times because he was worried about losing his job. But yeah, so
Thank you.
please vote yes on Measure S. Thank you.
All right, let's move on to traffic. Traffic is something that we all experience every single day and almost every single hour of the day. What is your best creative solution to solve the traffic issues in the city of Los Angeles? Who would like to take that first? Okay, let's start with Paul. Sit.
Thank you. I'll sit. Yes.
Thank you.
The secret to traffic reduction is removing cars from the road. I believe very strongly that we are about to have a revolution in transportation, that automated car technology is going to shape our future, and that when we embrace automated car technology, we get not only massive upgrades in efficiency, but we also end up with far fewer cars on the road, especially when people start to realize that they don't need to own a car. Not everyone needs to own a car. On top of that, we need to come up with some really big updates and bold ideas around our public transportation. I, for one, am really behind an initiative, a group that's doing something called the Hyperloop Project. This was an idea from Elon Musk, and this will,
What would you do to encourage that kind of development?
Well, look, basically, you have to embrace any ideas.
So you
that,
embrace it, you get the people of the city to embrace the idea. What would you do next?
Well, we'd have to do a partnership between the private sector and the public sector to get something like this off the ground.
Would there be tax credits involved?
Absolutely, tax credits. This would be a partnership between the city and between the Hyperloop project. We could make a Hyperloop run that would go from Los Angeles, from LAX to Burbank. It would take about 8 minutes for people to get there, take 4 years to build on top of existing infrastructure.
Very good. Thank you, Paul. All right, moving on to...
Could we stay with this? Could we stay with this topic just for a little bit?
Go ahead.
If I may, about traffic. So it's almost hard to believe in this city where it's gotten more people keep moving in here and traffic keeps getting worse. But ridership on Metro went down from 10 years ago, and it just came out that it went down last year. It's almost impossible. That's after the Expo line, a bunch of these other lines came in. Yuval mentioned it, and it's true. We keep cutting the bus service. I start a lot of mornings handing out flyers at metro stops. And what I see is not many people riding the light rail and subway. The buses are packed. And I ask them, what can we do to make transportation better? Add more buses. I have a plan that would reduce bus fares to $1. I talk to transportation experts, and they say, be careful about lowering the fare to $1, because if you do it too quickly, it will overwhelm the system. That's what they say. I want to do it so that it would actually be free. I just haven't had enough time to vet it. But there are simple things. Adding more buses is the #1 thing we should be doing. Second thing, we should allow the buses to go on the 405 on the HOV lanes. It's such a traffic problem going down the 101 or going over the canyons. That's something we could do. And I do agree about getting us ready for the automated cars. We should get in partnerships with people like Google and others and figure out a way to set up the sensors on our roads.
Pinky, go ahead.
Yes. If you go to my Twitter account, Pinky for Mayor, I would like to propose that everyone who works in the city will get free bus rides, free if you're working. Because a lot of people who are working, that takes a lot of their money away from them, so they can't, have food on the table and other things. So I would like to initiate that.
But to both of you, Mitch, and to Pinky, a lot of the fare is connected to the drivers' union, in part. Is that not right? So what will you do?
No, they don't. I mean, as long as they get paid, they don't care where it comes from. So no, the
so
fare.
you'll maintain their salaries and reduce fares.
Of course. By the way, part of it is, people love these light rails and the subways, but if they knew the cost overruns, they'd be astounded. The Expo line was supposed to cost $800 million. It ended up costing $2.5 billion. And every line of those is way over budget.
Yeah, I don't agree. I don't agree that the fares are connected to the union pay or to what the drivers get. The fares, what's going on is the MTA is deciding. MTA has a multi-billion-dollar budget, billion with a B. So it's, $5 or $6 billion a year. They're deciding to spend all the money on heavy rail. They keep cutting bus service, and they're making traffic worse by doing that. Buses are cheap. You can make them run right away. So they're basically taking care of their friends that are building the heavy rail. That's what the politicians are doing.
Is it that, or is there sort of a branding issue with riding a bus? Do you know
No,
what I mean?
I
a lot of
think-
people don't like riding buses.
Well, the city of LA and the county of LA, because there's 2 LAs, they're so spread out. We're always going to need buses, even after they build out all this heavy rail.
I'm not challenging you on the fact that we need them. I'm challenging you on the fact that people might not want to ride them and they prefer subways
I think
or
people.
light rail.
I think people don't like to ride them because you don't want to, because you're standing out on the sidewalk in the rain, in the sun, waiting a long time for a bus to come, and the bus is overcrowded because they've cut the bus service so much. That's why people don't want to ride it. They've made it inconvenient.
Okay. Zumadog, go ahead.
Yes, that's right. I'm going to have a nervous breakdown. Listen, we're not going to change the culture of Los Angeles. It's a driving city spread out all over the place. I've had to take the bus. I didn't have a car for 6 years. Try getting to the valley from Venice. Okay, it's not realistic. Tell the mom with the kids, that has to be here and there. The bus is for people that can take it. It's not for everybody. It's never going to be. These Maseratis aren't going to take the bus. All these skyscrapers that they're building luxury upscale for all the millionaires, they're not going to take the bus. It's not going to be a viable. It's a joke. Don't talk about the bus for fixing traffic anymore.
Okay, thank you. I think you made your point.
It's always about stuff that's not here yet,
Very
too.
good.
Can I give you a solution, or am I out of time?
Well, you're almost out of time, but okay, what's the solution?
Some of the
then?
solutions synchronize the traffic lights. They put sensors in the street. They didn't have them done properly. It made things worse. And also Measure S that will prevent more skyscrapers. It's going to stay this way for a long time. We need to keep it from getting worse, and that's through Measure S that will prevent skyscrapers and high density from continuing.
All right, we've got a lot of issues to cover, and I know you all want to weigh in, but I think we should move on to something else, okay? Let's talk about, we talked about it a little bit, or I allowed Pinky to express her opinion about Sanctuary City. Los Angeles has been declared a sanctuary city, but that also means there's a little bit of contention, or maybe I shouldn't quantify, between the city of Los Angeles and the feds, or more specifically, the President of the United States. So, who is in favor of sanctuary city, and what does that mean in terms of perhaps running the risk of not getting federal funds? Eric, on the end. I've got a little bug.
Sure. There was an article in The Intercept recently about how Mayor Garcetti has waffled a little bit about whether or not Los Angeles is, in fact, a sanctuary city for Angelenos who may not have documentation. And it obviously is, and we've instructed our Los Angeles Police Department not to do the work of ICE, and I would support that kind of a decision. And I just think that when the executive directive came down from the president, the initial one, I was frightened by the language that permitted lower downs to make decisions, you know, sort of over there about whether or not somebody should be sent. This is not what our country was based on. This is not something that cops in Los Angeles or people in Los Angeles want to get on board with. So I think that we have to pull together as a community on this issue and hold the line with, this is Los Angeles.
But
This
will
is a
there
melting
be
pot.
unintended consequences? Like, for example, President Trump deciding to cut off funding?
No, the president is not going to cut off our funding for rail projects. That's not legal, first of all. And I think even Mike Fuhr, the brave Mike Fuhr, stood up and made that very clear that they can't do that. And, you know, I realize that we're going to have to stand up. Whoever is mayor and whoever runs this town, all of us together, are going to have to stand up for what we believe in, and that's where we're going.
Okay,
This
so
is America.
who wants to counter that argument because you're against Los Angeles as a sanctuary city? Go ahead.
I think we were established as a nation of laws. Laws must be enforced equally across the board. If the city expects the people of Los Angeles to abide by the law, the city must abide by the law. You don't like the law, you go ahead and you change it, but you do not violate it. I'm sorry.
Okay, so again, in the category of unintended
Anybody
consequences,
that's violated the
what
law
about the economy that is based upon those who are undocumented?
will have to find alternative or change the law to accommodate it. As long as the law is not changed, we must enforce the law the way it is.
So if we were to abide by ICE and round up all the undocumented, those who have committed crimes, and now I guess they're expanding what that means to commit a crime, isn't it possible that the economy here in Los Angeles may be harmed?
I would consider first the ones who have committed crimes, because the minute you committed crime, you do not qualify to become a citizen of this country. My parents immigrated to this country. They followed the law to the letter. And I think everybody else should follow the law to the letter.
So
Why should we make exceptions?
Who would like to counter YJ? Go ahead, Paul.
There are laws, and then there are unjust laws, and this is a terribly unjust law. We have 35% immigrants in our city, not including our undocumented immigrants. And this law would threaten to tear people apart, to tear families apart. We could have civil war in our streets as a result of this. I will not support this. I stand with our immigrants. This is absolutely a sanctuary city if I am elected mayor of Los Angeles.
David.
You know, following the November election, I was asked to meet with the Mexican Consul General, the Mexican consulate in Los Angeles. And his biggest concern was the fear that was being spread through the Latino community, or especially with Mexican nationals, by Los Angeles politicians and Spanish media. There are appropriate actions to take. They've expanded their services. He's offered to work with me in bringing those services to Pacoima and Sun Valley and Arleta in the San Fernando Valley. Now, what he mentioned is that the hysteria and the fear is unfounded. What I'm looking at is that whether someone was brought here at the age of 10 or younger and are in the country without documents, it is not fair to put them in the same classification as the criminal who killed my friend's son, Jamil Shaw Jr. And so when we talk about sanctuary cities, we have to be very careful that there are those without documents who have not committed any other crimes and will not be deported.
Okay, thank you. Mitch, go ahead.
Yeah, I strongly support sanctuary cities. Part of it is personal. All 8 of my great-grandparents came here from overseas, and they came to escape religious persecution. They did come legally. I am aware that a lot of people are concerned because these folks did break the law, but there are 3 basic reasons why I support sanctuary city. Number 1, the illegal immigration crisis is over. It's been 12 years since there's been any net migration from Mexico and south of the border. Number 2, according to all the standards, the Latino immigrants are assimilating into this country. They are assimilating. Pew studies have done a bunch of these things. So let's give them the path to citizenship. Number 3, and lastly, and Paul alluded to it, They say about 1 million folks in LA County that, that are undocumented. This is a city, Los Angeles City is 70% minority, 50% Latino. Pragmatically, if we tried to enforce some of the provisions that Donald Trump wants us to do, we would have a civil war on the street. So this is dealing with a problem that doesn't exist. Let's give them a path to citizenship. Most of these folks are hardworking people.
Dennis, go ahead. Dennis.
Yeah, I would not carry out making Los Angeles a sanctuary city for a different reason. I would organize a fight for amnesty for all who live in the city of Los Angeles and beyond. I'm not for Garcetti or Governor Jerry Brown or any other politician saying they're going to protect us. We have to protect ourselves. We can do that by fighting for amnesty, by joining together those workers who have papers, those who don't have papers, to build a movement to fight for the things we need. Sanctuary, what? To freeze undocumented workers or workers without papers in the jobs and the working conditions they have today? They face the toughest conditions because they don't have legal status. I'm for fighting to change that. Give them amnesty, let them come out of the shadows, the terror that they face from ICE, and become part of building a movement of working people that can fundamentally change our condition.
Thank you very much. We're going to move on to another issue. Thank you, Franz. I know you wanted to weigh in, but let's move on to another issue. Let's talk about our schools in the city of Los Angeles. It has been said more than once that LAUSD is too large. Pinky, I know you're a former educator. Do you want to address whether or not the district LAUSD should be broken up to accommodate the different needs and demands of the areas around the city?
Okay, many people have said we need to break it up because it's too large. I don't know if that's the real problem or if it's that, like Eric Garcetti, just doesn't go in the school system. I think we have to improve the school system, as I mentioned before. There's consequences for behavior. I have been a teacher, I'm retired now, but 32 years. There is so much bullying going on in the school system, it's ridiculous. We can improve the schools we have now. We don't have to divide it. But I would go in, have meetings, talk to the administrators. I would improve the schools.
But with all due respect, I think they're doing that already. And yet, you're right, there is a lot of bullying, and I'm not sure that the test scores are where we want them to be, or the number of kids going on to higher education. So what would you do?
Well, for the people that you mean to go on to higher education?
No, what would you do just in general, improve our education system?
In general, not everyone is a college student.
So how do you make the schools better?
That's what it is.
How do you make the students feel more safe?
I would have them do the regular coursework, English, math, whatever, but I would have in the school system, what we used to have, I'd have more vocational classes. People that can, maybe they're not good at geometry and calculus and they're, that's it.
Very good. Franz.
Before I say anything about education, let me say about transportation. Based on my plan, I can go from LAX to the convention center under 3 minutes, and from Boyle Heights to Santa Monica under 5 minutes. Please look at my plans. In regards to the Sanctuary City, I support Sanctuary City, but the main issue is economy. It is still the economy. So that's something we need to address. In terms of education, yes, the mayor does not have control over the education system. That's something I would like to change for accountability purposes. And second, detentions. I'm against detentions. I would prefer to see the students going to meditation. So meditation instead of detention. One thing I would like to also include, our children, we need to teach them how to do organic farming in school. You know, I believe that will also help them. One more thing I would like to add. Charter school. I'm against private charter school, but I support public charter school.
Very
so
good.
I would like to see the teachers on
Thank you
charter
very
school.
much, Franz. And I apologize for skipping you on the transportation issue, but we're trying to cover as much as we can. Anybody else like to address the issues in our schools? Go ahead, David first. David first.
You know, there is a charter school in Pacoima that sits right between two housing projects. And I visited that school and visited with the teachers and the administrators. They have a 97% attendance rate. In going to all the classes, they have music, they have tutoring, they have psychologists. There is a doctor on the campus. Their scores are phenomenal, and 90% or more of their students are below the poverty level, are Hispanic or black. There are very positive, both charter and non-charter schools that if we embrace and end the conflict between the two, put the students, put the workers at the schools, put them ahead of our own agendas. Tonight, there's a LAUSD forum in Mission Hills where the Charter School Association has a candidate, the unions have a candidate, and fortunately, the teachers and the students have a candidate as well. So utilize what's best.
YJ.
I think what we need to do is invest some more money in our education. If you compare LA to Chicago or New York, we do not spend per student as much money.
Where
And
we
whatever money we do spend,
Okay.
more than 50% of it goes to administration, doesn't go to the teachers. What we need is quality teachers to teach the children and not use the schools as a warehouse. There are some good schools, but the many schools are not. They're using it strictly as a warehouse to keep the kids off the streets.
And where would you like to get that funding, that extra funding?
All the funding for education comes from real estate taxes.
So you would just redistribute what you already have, or you would increase real estate taxes?
I would increase a certain percentage, but it's to go strictly for teachers. I want teachers, qualitative teachers. We need the parents' more involvement with the schools, because parents cannot say, well, the school is going to educate my kid, the school is going to tell my kid how to behave. No, it's a joint effort between the two.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Dennis, then we'll move on.
I think until education becomes a lifetime experience for every single individual, we won't have real education. Right now, I agree. Most often, this is a beautiful school, by the way. It's a little better than the one I went to. I went to public school. But most students today go to public school, and they're there for one reason. That's to learn discipline, to be disciplined, not to learn. They don't come out of it prepared to think and act as part of the world, understanding the world, and then educating themselves for the rest of their lives. People leave high school, they think that's it. They never open another book, and it's not encouraged. That's not the way education is. It's not a lifetime experience in this country, and until we have a real revolution, it won't be. It simply turns out people to fit in to the economic system where they need them. The students are worst, get pushed to the bottom.
But again, we need the solutions on how to get to your place where you say that it won't be that way anymore. You can have another 20 seconds.
All right, my solution is fundamental. I think we need the third American Revolution. We've had two. We need the third one of the vast majority, which will take out of the hands of those who rule today, the tiny minorities of family, and put the resources into the hands of the majority. We will redo the education system from the bottom up, making it a priority for all human beings.
Okay, very good. Moving on to Proposition M, that is the cannabis proposition on the city ballot. Who's in favor? Who's against? Who's in favor? Okay, we only have two people in favor. Paul, would you like to explain why you were in favor of this particular proposition?
Of Measure M?
Yes.
Well, I don't really see how you would vote otherwise when even the proponents of Measure N have voted to support Measure M. Measure M just says we're going to regulate the cannabis industry, which is a new industry. We haven't decided how people are going to interact with this industry, and I think it does need regulation, and we should be able to tax this industry. The city should be in control of this like they would be with any other business.
Do you approve of the current the formula, which is you would be taxed less if this was a medical marijuana license, or prescription rather, as opposed to recreational?
Yes, I do agree with that.
Okay, Pinky, you're in favor of it as well, and then
Right.
if there's anyone who wants to counter, please raise your hand.
I agree about the medical marijuana. You did say N, right? Measure N.
As in Mary.
Oh, M is in Mary? Oh, no, I'm not for M.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
And what is your
Hearing-
objection, please, to Proposition M?
Okay, in terms of Proposition M, I know what it is. I am against any issue that we have to be taxed on. And that is why I'm against him. There's no middle class anymore. There's rich, there's poor. I'm tired of it.
Well, the tax is only on the purchase, is it not?
Yes, it's a sales tax, right? But it's still a tax. It is, but it's still a tax, right?
But it's the only tax that people want to pay, I think.
Yeah,
So let's
well,
grab it.
I guess so, but I'm still against
It's a voluntery tax if you look at it. I mean, you don't have to buy it.
Well, that's true.
Do you have another way for the city to tap into the potential, the earning potential of these businesses?
Well, it's difficult. As I mentioned in my Facebook and Twitter, I don't know what we could do, but I know there's a lot of real estate in Los Angeles that we could sell. I would look into that. I would look into cutting the budget. I would look into other avenues.
Very good. We're moving on. Franz, you wanted to say, are you for or against?
I am against it. There's no doubt about it. Let me remind you that Charlie Beck supports it, so that's the reason to be against it. One thing.
Yay, Frank.
My main reason to be against it is that it's gonna give too much power to the police department, and they're gonna go after the black and the brown community. So I do not trust the police department at this time to support it.
Perhaps there's something that I don't know about Proposition M, but does it not just create sort of a structure for the city?
It does, but the thing is, they are going to the way Charlie Beck sees it is just the police department will get more power to go enforce certain laws.
What kind of laws are you worried about?
What
kind of laws are you worried about that he will
if
enforce?
if it's passed, it's going to give them more power. It's going to give
to do
LAPD
what,
more
though?
power
I'm
to enforce the laws. My fear is they're just going to go after the black and brown people. That's my fear.
For usage? I think this is more about the regulations and the structure of the business of selling.
No, there is also
Okay.
in the ballot, in the simple ballot, there's also bullet points that talks about how they are going to enforce it, and the fact that I can't trust LAPD to go and enforce it when the way they are shooting the black and brown people. So
very good. I don't know enough about it in order to say one way or the other, but my impression was it was more about the structure of the business of marijuana as opposed to enforcement on usage. Is there anybody else that wants to weigh in on this? Eric?
Yeah, I'd just like to remind people that the City Hall had something called Prop D compliant dispensaries for a long time, and they still do. And that was an opportunity to create just a very small number of people who could participate. I'm supportive of other communities participating in this industry, and I don't think we should be taxing medicine, but I do think it's appropriate to be regulating and taxing, as Mitch said, the use of recreational marijuana in our communities. I just want to say one thing about education, because I got skipped on that one, and on transportation. The education point that makes me very sad here in Los Angeles is that why are there elections that people spend millions of dollars for how we run our very poorly run school district? It is a weird detail. Why is there not something more like another government entity where somebody runs, a chancellor, a department, and it's not about spending all this money and deceiving one another? And it speaks to really the mayoral election as well. Why is it that all of us are here tonight as candidates sharing our ideas? And it's so exciting to hear that vital discussion. And yet the mainstream media doesn't cover anything. It is just bizarre and outrageous.
All right,
so
thank
that's
you.
something.
David?
One last comment on that. In the late 80s.
On marijuana or on?
On marijuana.
Okay, very good.
Late 80s, a young man came to me who was diagnosed with AIDS. And he used marijuana to be able to get over the sickness and to be able to, and he survived for 2 years. And so when the medical marijuana, or 215, came about, I was very supportive of it from a patient advocate's point. When Prop 64 was on the ballot, and Monsanto and a lot of other corporations wanted to get into that field.
Keep you on point, though?
Well, the point is that when we had the dispensaries, the 186 that were allowed, there was over 700 throughout the city. What makes us believe that the city of Los Angeles, who takes 3 years to regulate street vendors or 2 years for golf carts at the municipal golf courses, is going to be able to regulate marijuana in this city?
All right. Let's move on to, that kind of brings up another topic. It was among the questions that were submitted earlier this week, and it has to do with city overreach. So you mentioned the number of dispensaries. Somebody also mentioned the fact that recently the city attorney ran an investigation into casting studios, and that this person who asked this question felt like it had nothing to do with the city, and why did they do that? Do you have other examples of overreach by the city, and how would you prevent them? Go ahead, Zumadog.
Yes, the city, that's all they do is they overreach. First of all, it's a municipal corporation by definition. Corporations are out for the best interests of the corporation, not anything else. And all they do is overreach. You know, we're going to be on KFI tomorrow. They wanted to regulate KFI's free speech, and it's in Burbank. Okay, it's nuts. Now, the reason why you know me in the first place, they wanted to overreach on the Venice Beach Boardwalk when I was a performer. Gee, you can't do this, you can't do that. I said, well, gee, what about the First Amendment, free speech, the Constitution? They go, the city of Los Angeles runs the city, and if you don't like it, you can sue in federal courts. Okay, well, I did, and I won, and it cost them millions of dollars. And so basically, the city is like Vegas. The homes, all the properties, they're like chips for them to take.
And how would you change things?
Well, you have a mayor. You can't mandate ethics. Okay, you have a mayor that decides, you know, I want to take the money, like when there's money for a nonprofit for services, to decide I want to use it and give it to the people, put it into the streets and into the services, not to pilfer it off to my, you know, sister that runs the food services and my uncle that runs the furniture stores. The city is a pot of money, of federal money and state money that's given to council to vote to, you know, who to give it to, and they just pilfer it off. Ask Richard Alarcon. In this district, oh my gosh, does this district get it?
Eric.
Yeah, I've attended a number of city council meetings, and at every meeting they begin the proceedings by issuing a number of liens against Angelenos and their properties. Mayor Garcetti instructed them to go into the box of old building and safety violations, pull out lunkers that are worth $3,000 because of excessive fines. This is an overreach by definition. And Vision Zero, which has been rolled out as a transportation initiative, it's not a terrible idea because it started in Sweden and is about improving the infrastructure and saving lives, trying to visualize zero road deaths. This is a great idea. But what they're rolling out now, and Legislator Quirk, the legislator of the year, has changed our laws about use of GPS and cell phones in the cars, and they are coming after us for $150, all of us, and the people who come to the airports, and it's not appropriate. It's not a way a city should run by tagging the people for revenue. This is a disgusting process that needs to change. We should, of course, find people here and there, but more like a library where it's a humane reminder. We want to educate people about road safety, not punish people. Thank you.
Very good. David first, and then Mitch.
Overreach, I want to address everyone in the city of Los Angeles who was renting an apartment. Under the direction of the mayor, apartment owners in the city are being mandated to provide the city all of your personal identification information and how much you pay on rent. They're doing this under the guise of protecting you. Just how they're using code enforcement and locksmiths to go into your apartments when you're not home, looking for violations for the apartment owner, but also being mandated to report any unlawful activity in your apartment. As mayor of Los Angeles, the renters registry will be squashed, and no code enforcement officer or any other city employee will go into your apartment without your knowledge and your permission.
Yeah. Mitch. You're applauding, so you agree.
Sorry?
Go ahead.
Well, there's a simple overreach where they just trying to constantly balance the budget on the backs of people trying to park. That one needs to be a little bit overreach. But here's a potential overreach that may really, really hurt our city. The mayor wants to get the Olympics here in Los Angeles, and he's not willing to do what we did when we had the last Olympics. When we had the last Olympics in 1984, we passed an initiative that said Los Angeles can raise taxes, can put money towards having the Olympics, but if there's any cost overruns, we are not responsible for them. We got that passed. It passed with 72% of the vote. I want that same thing on there because 27 of the last 28 Olympics have lost billions of dollars.
But the last time we had the Olympics, they made money.
Yes, so let's do the same thing. Fine. We'll take the Olympics, we'll raise taxes if the city agrees to it, but we should not be responsible for cost overruns. 1984 was a very different time. 45,000 police were used in the London Olympics, 85,000 in Rio. We have 10,000 right here. Los Angeles had 1 million less people. Soviet Union and East Germany and all those countries were in. Anyway, let's just have the guarantee that if there's any cost overruns, the IOC is responsible.
Okay, very good.
Otherwise, that could cost us billions,
All
literally
right,
bankrupt
Franz,
the
and
city.
then we'll move on after that. Go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to include, yes, in 1984 we made money, but we also have to remember the mayor was an A+ mayor. Eric Garcetti is an F mayor, he's failing. And in terms of overreach, LAPD spying, I'm totally against that. I think they went overboard with that, so I want to stop that. Okay, and the solution is to vote Eric Garcetti out of office and vote the city council members out of office. That will solve all the problems we stated right here. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Okay, the air quality in the city of Los Angeles has gotten better, considering the time, there was a time when we would actually have smog alerts and kids weren't allowed to go outside for recess. But it could be still better today. What are your proposals for making the air better here in Los Angeles, better to breathe? YJ?
Well, I'm a energy and utility consultant, and some of the regulations or some of the ideas that the city has implemented is counterproductive. The issue of putting synthetic grass and synthetic trees is counterproductive because we need those grass and we need those trees to absorb the carbon monoxide from the air. If we don't absorb the carbon monoxide, it makes the air dirtier. The other issue is, which you skipped me about the transportation, is we can build a light rail right over the LA River that goes from one end to the other. We don't have to do eminent domain. That would cut back traffic. The minute you're cutting back traffic, you're cutting back pollution.
So you would plant trees and build more light rail?
That's correct.
Okay. Go ahead, Franz.
Yes, if we're talking about air pollution, we also have to talk about transportation. And I agree. I'm also I'm proposing, as I stated, I released my transportation plan. I'm proposing a PRT, personal rapid transit, that will run inside the city. We have to reduce local traffics, as well as the magnetic levitation that I'm also proposing. So there is a country, I don't remember which country, they are experimenting with free transportation, just in a way to reduce air pollution. And I think, as a city, we should look toward, make it free transportation. It may look expensive, but in the long run, it is cheaper because we will have cleaner air, and then we'll be healthy. So it is worth it.
Yuval.
Yeah, so getting back to the buses, I live near the Beverly Center, so I used to take the Beverly Boulevard Rapid. The Rapid buses are the red buses that make less stops. And there used to be a Rapid bus line on Beverly Boulevard, and you could take it from Cedars, which is near me also, or the Beverly Center, all the way to City Hall. You could go east-west on Beverly Boulevard. Beverly Boulevard is an artery. They eliminated the Beverly Boulevard Rapid. That is ridiculous. So now if you want to go make that trek, you have to stop every 2 blocks, and it takes forever. So yeah, this is why people are not taking public transit.
So if you improve mass transit, you would reduce you would improve the air quality.
Yeah, if you first thing you need to do is restore the transit that has been cut, and then you need to increase it to what it should have been increased over the years. So yeah, just doubling it would just restore it to what if you doubled bus service, that would just restore it to what it was years ago. But it should actually be even more than that.
Okay.
Yeah, but these lines like the Beverly Boulevard Rapid,
Paul.
yeah.
Of course, we have to look at transportation. We have to get more cars off the road. I want to incentivize people, give tax incentives for people who are embracing electric car technology, for instance. I also think we need to incentivize homeowners to be using solar. This is something I know that YJ is very passionate about. Why are we not incentivizing homeowners to switch over to solar systems and also to think about things like gray water systems? In addition, I think we need to really go after, certainly a lot of our air issues are due to transportation, due to cars, but we have to go after industries and corporations that are making huge negative impacts on the environment. It's not something our president seems interested in doing, but I would definitely do that if mayor of Los Angeles.
Okay, Mitch.
So unfortunately, we now have the worst air in the country again. We lost that distinction to Houston for a little while. We are now the worst air in the country. Here's a couple of things that we could do. The ports, it came out that the agreements to cut down emissions in the ports were not being followed. We found out a couple of years ago from the LA Times that the Garcetti administration did not follow through on some of those things. That's one. Number two, Aliso Canyon, which leaked and caused 10,000 plus people to move out of there, should be shut down permanently. This is crazy that we keep this open, that they're going to reopen it. By the way, there's another gas storage facility in the Bayona wetlands that's a 10-acre facility, very similar, that would affect millions of people. Last thing, the Department of Water and Power. We are now at about 30% renewables. I have a plan on my website to get us to 100% green energy by 2025. The mayor has no plan to get us there ever. So those three things would dramatically alter the pollution system and pollution in our
Thank
city.
you so much. We're kind of in the home stretch here. Pinky, I know you've got your hand up, so go ahead if you want to address this particular issue.
I'm glad Mitchell brought up Aliso Canyon. I live in Puerto Ranch Estates across from Aliso Canyon. We were out of our house for 7 months. It was terrible, the gas leak. Everybody's seen it on television. It was terrible. I went to the open hearing. We told them, SoCal Gas, Dogger, shut it down. I agree with you. Shut it down. I was in the hospital twice because of it. People are still sick there. We have to put our health above greed.
Very good. Thank you. All right, we have an intimate enough group here. I'm wondering if you might be bold enough to raise your hand if there is a question that hasn't been addressed. You in the green there, sir.
Yeah, the one thing that I always hear politicians speak of is the plans they have, but I rarely hear politicians speak to revenue sources. One of the things that always concerns me is that I never hear anybody talk about the tax base in Los Angeles, how it can be increased, what power the mayor actually has to effectuate change, and where revenue comes from, and what your plans would be to pull that off.
Okay, I want to reduce the time to answer so that we can get to everybody who wants to answer. YJ, go ahead.
I've been promoting all along that the city of Los Angeles should have an office, a division that promotes, helps struggling businesses and promotes new businesses coming into the city. Because if you give all kinds of incentives, tax incentives, permit incentives, reduce bureaucracy. The minute you bring in additional industry into the city of LA, you take the unemployed, make them employed. The minute a person is employed, he generates taxes, generates revenues for the cities. That would help solve the problem.
Very good. We're going to go to Eric next.
Well, one thing I would do is be sure that the taxes that are owed to the city of Los Angeles, transit occupancy taxes and parking occupancy taxes, are collected, as opposed to what has been happening at City Hall, which is developer hoteliers get into trouble. They don't pay the transit occupancy tax. I'm thinking of somebody in my district who didn't pay $1.6 million in transit occupancy tax for several years, and then we had to sue them to get the money, and then in a backroom deal, we cut a deal where he didn't pay the 1.6, he only paid $1 million. So we left on the table $500,000, which is money that the Angelitos need to run our city. So it's a terrible deal, and that guy got away with it.
Very good. Yuval.
Yeah, so this is an example of the special interests giving money to the politicians and then getting way more back in return. So you were talking about the tax base. So for example, Westfield, which is a multi-billion-dollar foreign corporation that owns a lot of malls, built a new mall in the western part of the valley. And so part of the sales tax when you go and shop there is supposed to go to the city of Los Angeles. And the city of Los Angeles gave Westfield a huge giveaway where they let them pocket our portion of the sales tax. So instead of it going to pay for services, Westfield gets to keep that for many years into the future, and it's valued at like a $60 million taxpayer subsidy going to Westfield
Okay.
that doesn't need it.
Okay, thank you. Mitch?
So one way to attract or to get more tax revenues is to have more businesses. For businesses, their top cost is generally labor. And for labor, for people, their top cost is housing. So by building 250,000 more housing units, bring folks in here, helping businesses get people that they could hire and not have to pay fortunes because these people are paying so much for their rent and for home ownership would do a lot to bring business into the city and increase revenues.
Okay. Okay. We have time for one more question, and since this nice lady has come up and handed me this question, I will ask it. And raise your hand if you would like to answer. Do you support restoring the Environment Department to the City of Los Angeles? Franz?
Yes, I do. I definitely support that. I believe in fact, I didn't look at it as a city, I look at it as a state. I believe each state should have the EPA. I definitely support that.
Yes, Yuval.
Yeah, I do. And by my recollection, Eric Garcetti is the one that eliminated it. And it was actually generating money for the city. And by my recollection, it was his action to eliminate that department years ago.
See? He should be here. He would have a chance to rebut. Paul?
If there's one thing I think the city should have oversight on, it is the environment. We absolutely need to be looking into how to reduce the carbon emissions and to make LA a greener place, and we can't do that without oversight and accountability.
All right, we probably have time for one more question before we go to closing.
Here for it. What are you guys going to do about the illegal corruption in Los Angeles with the LAHD, Hasala, breaking into apartment buildings? I got people that are afraid to come here. I got over 640,000.
Okay, we can watch our language. Thank you.
Los Angeles that are at a loss. I lost over 200,000 worth of housing here. I got $2,000, 2,000 other people that are getting ready to close up, and I want an answer. I don't want any pretty talks about it. I want real answers. I don't want any back doors. I'm sorry, Eric isn't here right now. I'm just sick and tired. People are afraid of this administration. They're afraid of what you guys are going to do because we don't know if you can handle it. They go in front of city council, they lie, they do a tap dance. I'm not a tap dancer.
Okay. So, just so I have a little shorter question or a more pointed question, your concern is the housing department in the city of Los Angeles and their illegal actions. Who would like to address that? David?
Yeah, me, David?
I don't know. I don't know if you heard.
Oh, sorry. David, you Zoom a dog, right? So, David.
Okay. There are videos online of the housing department with locksmiths breaking into people's apartments. There you go. That is, as the mayor, I appoint the department heads, and that policy will be eliminated, and anyone that has participated in that will suffer the consequences, along with the renters registry as well.
Okay, Zuma.
It's not flowery rhetoric. That's a promise.
Zuma, Dog.
Okay, you're talking about that. I'm going to go broader with it. After being a gadfly in City Hall, attending for years and years, I'm here to say the city of Los Angeles is here to seize your property by any method, and it's corrupt. It's the Godfather. What have I done about it? I've contacted the FBI. I've worked with Bill Huey, and I'm here to tell everybody that the city of Los Angeles exists to steal your property. They'll put liens on you. They have the inspectors that come around, building and safety. It's like the Sopranos. They'll say, you got to do this, you got to do that. And even, finally though, here's the part. Even if you comply, they still come after you.
Okay, Pinky, Eric, and then we're going to go to closing.
Okay, I just want to tell you, I hear your frustration and I understand what you're saying. Somebody called me recently about this and they showed me the tape. I think it's horrible that they go in like the Gestapo and just take your property. We're here. We can open the door. We can do whatever we want to. And then what happens is the people who own those apartment buildings, they don't get enough money to fix them, and they have to sell them. And then you have to go somewhere where it's $1,200-$1,400 a month. I think it's disgusting, and I would do something about that. And I'm sorry that's happened to you.
Eric.
Well, this is a horrifying detail, and as a guy who took a case against the county board all the way to the Supreme Court, I would fight like hell to make it that they can't do that. And I would like to mention that tonight on City Watch, they're posting an article that I wrote with my brother about the HHH Commission, a civilian commission, to oversee the $1.2 billion that's supposed to be helping people get into affordable and permanent supportive housing. These guys are crazy, basically, okay? Richard Llewellyn, who is the mayor's former lawyer, has been made the CAO. The former CAO has been made the civilian chair of the civilian oversight. I mean, it is a little closed circle of people who are doing business outside of view. That's why they need to be making recordings, as we've argued in this article that we wrote tonight, so that the public can be a part of it. You should never be afraid to speak out about your rights. And all of us together are more powerful than any of us alone, and that's something that will change when I get into City Hall. Thank you
very much. All right, Dennis, go ahead, and then we'll go to closing.
Okay, I'll take less than that. What I would do would be to fight to implement the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, that no state shall have the right to take from any person life, liberty, or their property without due process under the law. This is not what happens in the city, state, or this country. We have to fight to implement that. I would use my office to mobilize to do that.
All right, very good. Thank you. All right, so we started a little late. That's why we're going to end a little late. But I want every candidate to tell me how they, as the mayor of the city of Los Angeles, would be better and different than the one that we currently have. Why don't we go ahead and start on this side? Yuval, you start, and then we'll go down the line.
Okay. The city is very badly run financially. And that's one of the reasons why we have low-level services. So you call the police, and they take an hour to come if they come at all. Or maybe you call them an hour later, and they ask you if you still need them. But yeah, I mean, I gave one example, Westfield. I think somebody over, maybe Eric over there was giving an example, new hotels. New hotel developers, they say, oh, well, I can't afford to build it, I mean, unless you give me a break, and it's not true. And so the city lets them keep the hotel tax. So there's a room tax every night that you stay in a hotel. Other cities, they use that money for services, but the city of LA takes these wealthy hotel developers and lets them keep that room tax. So they have these huge giveaways to special interests. It's also sales of leases of property. There was a fire station in... Yeah, so I would change that culture that corrupt culture at City Hall.
Very good. Zumadog.
How am I different than Eric Garcetti? First of all, I'm running for mayor. He's running for governor. Secondly, I won't spend the whole first term fundraising. I'll implement the 14 points of quality and productivity, something he can't do because he doesn't know them. So he can sit there and say he's going to do this and that and this and that, but he's not doing anything. And even if he wanted to, he couldn't do it because he's got no method. The city workers hate him. It's a big, muck in the city trying to get things done. So again, quality and productivity. 14 points of Dr. Deming. It's the first thing the city has to do. You could sit here and say we want to do all these other things. So anyway, Eric's not doing that, okay? I will be here. I will not be in New York raising money. And again, I will be talking to the people. Have you ever tried to talk to Eric Garcetti? He's a real odd guy, okay? Have you heard the radio commercial? Here's how I'm different than Eric. If I had $4 million, I wouldn't take out an ad saying, when I was a kid, I used to eat Caravel's ice cream. I'd ride in the station wagon. You know, the one with the wood paneling.
Thank
no,
you
I wouldn't
so
say
much.
any of that.
YJ.
I think we all know that in order for us to change direction, we have to change the leadership and their staff. Well, I think some of our candidates over here are very sincere about what they want to do for the city. And what we need is a leadership that's going to allow the people of Los Angeles to come into the office of the mayor, voice their problems, and contentions and what the city can do to help them. It is important that as a mayor, you serve all the people of the city equally. You give them equal services, you listen to the problems, you address the problems, you don't ignore them. Make sure there's someone on the phone that answers the calls and responds to complaints. Don't just ignore the people. Thank you.
Very good. Paul?
Thank you. It's my great honor to stand amongst you as a candidate for mayor, amongst these other fine candidates. I think we have to ask ourselves a question. What kind of city do we want to live in? And we have an election that will be, our next mayor will be in office for 5.5 years. I don't want to live in a city where, like this passionate woman here who is breaking my heart, is afraid of both the city and the housing department. I don't want to live in that city. I don't want to live in a city where our homeless are treated like animals and the problem is getting worse and worse. I want to live in a city where people love their city, where they want it to be its best and where they are working together to make it be the best city it can be. I want to live in a city where people are passionately engaged, where this room, this auditorium is filled with people because they are dialed in and connected to what happens in their city. If elected, that's the type of city I would create. Thank you. I'm Paulie Amori. Vote for love.
Franz?
And thank you. It was an honor to be here. And I also have to mention, thank you for the question regarding education. This is the first time we ever have a question regarding education. Education is a very big issue for me. As I stated, my campaign is about solutions. Eric Garcetti is about rhetorics. So I will invite you to go to my website and look at the solutions that I have for our education, a solution that I have for homeless situation, solution that I have for our transportation, even potholes, drought. We're not really completely out of drought. I also have a solution for that. So I released 30 plans. So go to my website and look over them. And thank you very much.
Thank you. David? David, no one else stood up.
Oh, okay.
You must sit down.
Maybe that sets me apart. I'll end the way we started. Every issue, every challenge has a human component, and we heard that tonight. I'm not frustrated. I'm determined. I'm asking all of you on Tuesday to use and seize this opportunity to join with other individuals that are determined, that are no longer going to accept not only violent crime, but property crime from the gardener in Panorama City whose truck has been broken into over and over, and they can't afford to replace those tools. From the apartment owners and the tenants whose privacy is being invaded and their rights are being abused. Don't be frustrated. Spread the word. Eric Garcetti was elected with 222,000 votes out of 1,800,000 registered voters. He's making a very grave mistake by taking all of you for granted. Thank you.
Mitch?
So I have a lot of plans that I want to achieve if I'm successful in being mayor. I want to overhaul the DWP, make it accountable, make it so it's liked by people, make it 100% green. I think we need to fix the pension problems that are now crowding out spending for everything else. We do need to hire more police. But what we have to decide in this city is we are at the precipice of what this city is going to be. Do we want it to be Manhattan or San Francisco, where you're either rich or poor, young or old, where families can't live, where middle-class people can't live, with creative people can't come here to live here? We have to do something to make this affordable so it's not continued to be the barbell economy. And lastly, we need to restore trust in government. It's why I'm not taking developer money, why I'm not taking PAC money, why I want to shut down the mayor's fund, and why I'd serve a full 5.5-year term. Thank you very much for having us, and thank you guys all for being on the panel.
Go ahead, Pinky.
Okay. How am I different than Eric Garcetti? Let me tell you, he walks on eggshells. Oh, is this politically correct? Oh, I better not do it. Is that political? Oh, no, I better not do it. Well, I'm a woman, but I'll tell you, I get things done. Nobody's going to mess with me. There are problems in Los Angeles. We have infrastructure problems. We have education problems. We have problems up our kazoo, and I am the one to do it. I will fix Los Angeles, and it will be the way it used to be when I grew up. And I'm Diane Pinky Harmon. I'm running for mayor of Los Angeles.
Go ahead, Dennis.
I just want to say, I don't believe there's anything as an Angelino. I think this is a class-divided city. I base my campaign, it's where I live, it's where I've taken my campaign is to the working class in Los Angeles, and I can tell you that in many communities, many areas of Los Angeles, the working class faces a carnage in relation to jobs, wages, drugs, all of those things that I would be a part of organizing a movement to fight to change. Of the millions, no politician, Democrat or Republican, is going to do it for you. I only pledge one thing. I'll keep on fighting, along with other working people, to build a movement that can make fundamental change starting here in Los Angeles. We'll take on those things that face working people, the police. The LAPD has had 1,442 shootings since the year 2000. Zero.
Thank you. Thank you. Eric, finish us off.
0 complaints were taken seriously. Not one, I mean, none of them were found to have any issues, what he's trying to say. As the other Eric, I would bring something that's sorely missing from the city of Los Angeles, which is a sense of fair play. The city officials, currently the city council members and the mayor, are virtually contemptuous of the public. And the city of Los Angeles the county itself is 11 million, 4 million in the city. We are a lot of different kinds of people who deserve quality services from our city, not being treated as if we don't want to bribe somebody, we can't participate in the way our city goes forward. I am the other Eric in a lot of different ways. I spent my career in the entertainment business, learning about budgets and about how to get things done and produce quality entertainment, it turns out. Well, this is less quality entertainment, but this is the same kind of a job. It involves organizing people and focusing a mission on something that is achievable. If you elect this, Eric, you will be sending a strong message to people in Los Angeles that city of LA needs to be fair and equitable for people of all types. So, the other Eric.
Thank you very much. I want to thank you all for coming here and speaking so articulately and passionately on the issues that face the city of Los Angeles. I would encourage everybody here to vote on Tuesday. Vote your conscience. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Big round of applause for Susan.
I want to say thank you very much to Susan. She did a great job. Give her a hand right here. Very, very good job. And let everybody know that both the candidates and everyone in the audience is invited across the street to Los Candidos. We're going to have a little informal get-together. If the candidates want to show up, you can continue to talk to them. I also want to thank Sean and LA River Studios and Vox Productions for co-sponsoring this and helping us, and LANCC. And thank you all for showing up tonight.